Chapter 2 Where We Belong. The rest of the week passed by, though, and Amy still didn't have a home. She wasn't ignored, not in the least. Many humans admired her calico fur and bright green eyes. Yet, when they went to pick her up, they would hold her for a bit, get a strange look on their face, then put her down and wander away. Amy just couldn't figure out why. When Pete walked over to her that next Monday morning, she tried to tell him what was bothering her.
"How are you doing today, Amy?"
he asked, when he had finished filling up her food and water bowls.
"I'm fine,"
she mewed back.
"Well, mostly. You see, I have this problem."
"I have a present for you today,"
he cut in, reaching into his apron pocket. Amy sighed. Pete was not very good at listening, but she would have to try.
"I'm trying to tell you that,"
she began again, but Pete pulled a collar out of his pocket and put it around Amy's neck.
"I got you a new collar to wear. See, now doesn't that look nice?"
he said, smiling widely. Amy spared a second to peek at her reflection in the water bowl. It was a nice collar. It was purple and sparkling.
"Well, yes,"
she admitted.
"but listen, Pete."
"See, I knew you'd like it,"
he started, interrupting Amy again, but this time she'd had it.
"Listen!"
she yowled very suddenly. Pete blinked in surprise and stopped talking. Amy was starting to think that humans couldn't understand cats at all. But she had to try.
Listen,"
she repeated, more quiet, looking quite ashamed. She had never lost her temper with Pete before, and she didn't like being angry.
"I'm lonely. I'm being nice to all these humans, but they never seem to want me. What am I?"
"Aw, Amy, what's wrong?"
Pete said. Amy looked closely at Pete, but he didn't seem to realize he was interrupting her. Perhaps humans couldn't understand cats after all. How would Amy solve her problem without Pete's help? Amy's head drooped, and she slowly walked to the back of her cage and slunk down.
"What's with the long face, huh?"
Pete asked, gently patting Amy's head. Amy was done talking, though. What was the point if Pete couldn't understand her? Pete just kept right on, though.
"I know what's wrong,"
Pete concluded suddenly. Amy's ears perked up. Did he maybe understand?
"You miss having other cats to talk to, huh?"
Amy considered the question. Well, it was rather lonely, yes, but she didn't want to keep staying in Pete's pet palace. She wanted a home with humans who would feed her and love her and not keep her cooped up so much. She wished she had a home like her brother and sister did.
"Well, I'll tell you what,"
Pete continued.
"I just finished giving Lace a bath. She's a really nice cat, too. Maybe what you need's a friend, huh?"
Amy sighed as she watched him walk away. If that was the best she could get.
"At least I can ask this Lace cat what I'm doing wrong. Maybe she'll know."
A few minutes later, Pete carefully placed a new cat in Amy's pen. Lace was an interesting cat. She was completely white, with one orange paw. Her fur was sleek and much shorter than Amy's, and her eyes were mismatched, one blue, one green. For all of her mysterious beauty, though, Lace was not very polite.
"What are you staring at?"
she snarled at Amy. Amy backed away, taken aback.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stare. You have a very pretty coat, you know,"
Amy replied carefully. Lace snorted disdainfully.
"Pretty? Ha! That ain't worth nothing in the real world, colored cat,"
the cat replied. Amy's fur fluffed up angrily.
"What's so bad about having a collar or being pretty? Don't you want to be adopted? If you're mean like that, the humans won't like it,"
Amy responded.
"Adopted, please,"
scoffed Lace.
"I don't want to be adopted by some stupid humans. I want to be free."
Free? Amy asked, curious despite her anger.
"Free,"
Lace repeated, saying the word with relish.
"I don't want to stay in some crowded, stinking human home. I want to roam the city streets, free to play and hunt as I see fit. I want to race along the sidewalks, climb the trees in the park. I want freedom, collar cat. I don't belong here."
She gave Amy a critical eye, glancing her over.
"Maybe you don't either,
"Don't belong?"
stammered Amy. The thought had never even occurred to her.
"But of course I belong here. I'm going to be adopted and live with some very nice humans. We'll play and they'll feed me and I'll never be alone.
The words sounded very empty and hollow in Amy's head, though. Lace shook her head and sighed.
Whatever, kid.
She started to hop to the top of the play tower.
Wait!
Burst out Amy, suddenly remembering her thought from earlier.
Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong?
Lace looked back at her with another sigh, though Amy continued.
If you're a human, looking for a cat, how's this?
Amy sat herself down neatly and smiled. She mewed adorably and tilted her head in a cute pose. Lace gazed at her thoughtfully.
Well, I ain't gonna pretend like I understand how their mind works, but shouldn't you be purring?
Purring?
Repeated Amy blankly. She'd never even heard of it before.
Yeah, purring.
Said Lace with exaggerated slowness.
You know, like this?
Lace made a rumbling sound that Mother made when she was happy. Come to think of it, Taco and Simon could make it too, but Amy had never considered it.
No. I mean, how do you do that?
Amy listened intently to Lace and tried to imitate her, but all she could come up with was a choked growl. Lace shook her head and laughed.
That ain't even close. Well, would you look at that? The cat without a purr. Never thought I'd see that happen.
Amy lashed her tail and tried again to make the noise, but she could at best sound like she had a hairball. How on earth were Simon and Taco able to pull it off, but not her?
But purring isn't that important, is it?
Amy mewed doubtfully. She didn't much need Lace's answer, though. All those humans picking her up, then putting her down.
Of course it is.
Lace snapped, curling up to take a nap at the top of the play tower.
Otherwise humans don't think you're happy.
It just can't be true,
whispered Amy sadly. But as the day went on, all of the humans would pick Amy up and put her down with disappointed looks.
I really am happy. I am. Please.
Amy begged one human man in particular, with his little daughter in tow.
I'll be nice. I won't ever complain. Just don't leave me.
I guess this one just doesn't like being held.
Sighed the man, placing Amy back in her cage.
Come on, sweetie, let's go look at some other cats.
By the end of the day, at closing time, Amy was huddled in the corner of the cage, staring blankly at the ground. Maybe she really was never going to get adopted. Maybe she would stay here forever. Just why did purring have to be so important to everyone? Amy slumped down in a heap, closing her eyes. Lace stalked over to her and snorted dismissively.
Oh, come on. Get up, collar cat.
Amy shook her head, though, and curled up tighter.
No, I won't. I'm tired of trying for all these people. They'll never want me anyways,
she sniffed. Lace gave a very exaggerated sigh.
All right, collar cat. If you want to stay here forever, moping and moaning, that's your choice. But I'm getting out of here.
Amy's ears perked up.
Well, wait,
she meowed, getting to her feet as Lace walked to the entrance of the cage.
You know how to get out of here?
Obviously,
Lace said. She did something to the latch of the cage, making lots of strange scraping noises, and then with a click, the door swung open. Amy's eyes widened in amazement. Lace chuckled to herself and leapt out.
You coming? Or you just gonna stand there?
Amy hesitated, then leapt down as well, landing next to Lace. She nervously followed the cat to the door, which, to her surprise, had been propped open. Lace gave the door a confident push with her head, and Lace and Amy slipped outside. With a deft kick, Lace sent the rock that had been holding the door open sailing back into the store, and the door closed with a final, frightening slam. Lace lazily looked back at Amy.
All right, listen here, collar cat. You're on the streets now. It's a cat-eat-cat world. No more of this food and water dish junk. If you're hungry, you've got to hunt. If you're cold, find your own home. You've got to fend for yourself. It's harder, but freedom comes with a price,
Lace informed her. Amy's mouth hung open in shock. The street cat gave one last dismissive snort and started walking away.
Cat eat cat? No, I don't want this at all. Let me come with you,
Amy begged. Lace laughed harshly.
With me? Nah, collar cat. You don't need me. You need you. The real you. I don't know what your calling in life is, cat without a purr, but I can tell you one thing.
Lace said, glancing back.
It ain't that pet store, cooped up for eternity.
And without so much as a final goodbye, Lace disappeared into the darkness, leaving Amy alone yet again. Amy looked around her in terror. Just what had she done?